Kei'Mani Latigue was just days away from turning 14 when her body was discovered in Toledo, Ohio on March the 24th, 2025. Authorities believe that Kei'Mani's alleged father, Darnell Jones, is responsible for the horrific circumstances surrounding her death. At the time of her passing, Kei'Mani had been staying with her grandmother and legal guardian, Dorothy Latigue. According to Dorothy, she left for an overnight work shift on March the 16th, 2025, leaving Kei'Mani at the house. When Dorothy returned home the morning of March the 17th, she found the house to be in disarray. Kei'Mani's glasses, which she needed to see, were left behind. Dorothy also discovered Kei'Mani's PJs and underwear in the house. The stove was on and gas had filled the air. Additionally, Dorothy noticed that the door was unlocked, which was not typical for Kei'Mani. As a latchkey kid, Kei'Mani would have always locked the door if she had left the house. Now, Dorothy says that she tried to reach Kei'Mani that morning but couldn't get in contact with her. Dorothy says she called the school and they confirmed that Kei'Mani had not attended school on March the 17th. However, there has been some uncertainty about if Kei'Mani actually went to school on March the 17th. According to Kei'Mani's biological mother, she claims that Kei'Mani friends told her that Kei'Mani did attend school on March the 17th. Now, authorities have yet to officially comment on if Kei'Mani was at school that day. However, authorities have said that Kei'Mani was the last confirmed sighting of Kei'Mani was on March the 16th, 2025. Now, in the latest update from authorities, it was revealed that Darnell Jones, Kei'Mani's alleged father and the suspect in this case, fled Toledo, Ohio for Columbus, Ohio after Kei'Mani's body was discovered. He was located and he was apprehended by authorities on March the 25th, 2025. When they approached Darnell Jones, he allegedly attempted to shoot at authorities from the inside of his sweatshirt. Authorities returned fire, critically injuring Darnell, and as of right now, the authorities have reported that he is in the hospital in Columbus, Ohio, recovering.
I received a call we never want to get. One of our officers was involved in a police-involved shooting. Immediately went to scene to speak to our officer, one of our SWAT officers, a dedicated officer, highly trained, as you know, our Special Operations Bureau, longtime member. He's okay. Thank God he's okay. When I heard about this case, this was an individual wanted for homicide out of Toledo. I called my union counterpart in Toledo. I said, hey, good news, we have your guy. Your guy committed a murder, chose to fled to our town. I'll tell you right now, the wrong town to come to if you murder somebody. Our SWAT team will go out looking for you. This case is one of the most horrific cases I ever heard. This is a 14-year-old that was murdered, raped, had her hands cut off, and her throat almost cut off. This is an absolute animal that came into our town. I understand some of your editors won't let you print the word animal or view the word animal. If people are more offended to how I'm describing him, how he treated that girl, that's on them, not on me. Again, I'm glad our officers are okay. Our SWAT are the best of the best. We just send a message. You murder somebody, do not come to this town.
Kei'Mani's biological mother, Tiara, did an exclusive interview with Black Media CEO. The exclusive interview that she did, she addressed some questions regarding, the godmother, why? Because if you remember when Kei'Mani was born, according to a previous interview that she did, she stated that Kei'Mani was taken from her at birth. Now, once that interview started circulating, there were additional questions about, well, if she was taken from you at birth, was it because you were in prison, or what were the circumstances surrounding that? So she does attempt to address that. Additionally, if you recall, there were speculations online that the house that Kei'Mani's body was found in belonged to Dorothy's mother. So Tiara also addresses that. She also addresses the last time that she talked with her mother, Dorothy, And she addresses if Dorothy is her biological mother. Despite her addressing these things before, the questions continue to come up. Now, one of the things that were interesting and is she states that Kei'Mani will not have a funeral until they go through probate court. Were you guys aware of this? If you were, drop your comments below and let me know. Now, of course, we have heard from the media that Kei'Mani's body has been transferred, unfortunately, from different funeral homes because of different circumstances. If you're not familiar with that, there are, videos on my channel.
So how long was, not to change the subject, but how long was Darnell taking his ass over there to Dorothy house?
I
Like,
couldn't tell you. I could not tell you if it was not, and I'm going to say this and I need people to understand again, me and my mom did not have a good relationship.
okay.
If you ask any of my cousins, they will tell you they've always felt like my mother was jealous of me. I just thought like, okay, maybe I'm not the daughter that I think I am, you know. But when it came to me and my mom, if it was not about my child, I did not communicate with her. I didn't have a reason to talk to her. We're not friends. We're not cool.
Mm-hmm.
When it came to my child's father, if it was not about my daughter, you cannot call my phone. I don't
Okay.
fuck with you like that. And you're in a whole relationship. There's no other reason you should be calling me besides where our daughter is concerned. So I
Hmm.
don't know what they had going on behind the scenes. I have not even the slightest clue.
Okay. And Jackie, that's a good right there. Say the dogs would have been dead probably too. That's a great point because
Right?
she said they had
Listen,
two dogs. Good
yeah, my
point.
mom has a pit bull mix and a chihuahua. Definitely they would have been dead for sure.
Yeah, if all that type of gas was jumping off. Do you know if any other people that lived in the home with them? Because I know
So,
people.
yeah, so my family actually told me, and there's a lady that took a picture of one of the people. There's a
Mm-hmm.
woman, her name is Shabu Carson on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
She was living in my mother's home. Apparently, she's a crackhead, she's homeless, and my mother let her stay there so she could get on her feet. Her and her boyfriend, Bob O, or something like that, Bobo or something like that, were living in the house with my mother and my daughter. Um, and that's all that I know was actively living there when my daughter
Mm-hmm.
went. Um, and Shabu, at one point when my daughter had first went missing, um, was pretending to be me. And a lady, her name is Love Jen on Facebook, took a picture of her. And she was running around in hysterics talking about some, can you please help me find my baby? Um, I don't know Shabu. Shabu don't know me. I've never
Mm-hmm.
seen this woman a day in my life. She could not have known Kei'Mani that long. So for her to play that role is largely disturbing for me.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, real quick, Queen. Let me. Hey, Jazz. Is it anything you as a
Monique Taylor, so from what I was told, my godmother claimed that she had a mental breakdown conveniently around the same time that her daughter had her first grandchild.
Mhm.
And I guess she had left my daughter on my mother's front porch. Didn't ring the doorbell, didn't knock on the door, left my daughter and all of her belongings on the porch of my mom's house.
Damn. And
Um,
that's what was finally told to you, dude.
yeah,
Like what the
yeah,
damn.
and then apparently, now I don't know about everybody else, but I know what I eat, my kids eat. So if I'm eating good, my kids are eating
Yeah.
good. And if there's not enough food to go around, when my kids are hungry, I'll feed them and I'll starve for a couple of days. I'm okay with that because at the end of the day, they still growing. But I was also told that my godmom, she would leave little stuff at the bottom of the fridge, My daughter was made from like the age of 4 to fend for herself. So it would be like lunch meat, cheese cubes, peanut butter and jelly, that type of stuff, and a plastic knife. And the whole time my godmom is eating steak and lobster and shit in my daughter's face. So my daughter has never been treated justly. Never.
Mm.
I'm
Because you
just
know some.
upset that I
Yeah.
didn't find out about the happenings, everything that was going on and the severity of what was going on until later. Because I've always
Wow.
tried. I even at one point, because I'm like, I want everybody to be comfortable. I still want a relationship with my kid. When my
Mm-hmm.
godmom had my daughter, I had my place. My daughter's room was completely set up, and that was the first place that I had, or no, the second place that I had down here.
Mm-hmm.
And I invited them. I said, I know y'all don't want to get on the bus. I know you were saying your car was down. So I paid for a flight for you and my daughter here and back. Everything you need while you're here will be taken care of. All you got to do is get on. And she blocked me.
Mm. Wow. And then listen in the chat. She says she did not know all of this was going on.
I
Okay.
didn't find out about this
Like she
until
didn't.
after my mom got her. So at that point, I'm like, okay, well, my mom's doing the right thing by my daughter. I didn't know all this other shit was going on.
Hmm. And Kei'Mani was how old around this time?
About 6 or 7.
Yeah, she couldn't really say.
6 or 7 is when my mom got her, when my godmom left her on the doorstep. But I did not know that my mom had her until like maybe a month or so before her 11th birthday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dorothy was speaking on that, and that sounded suspect. I'm gonna be honest with you. When the way she was
And
trying to
she
explain
cleared
it,
up.
see the and then if you need something, I call her. And it was just like, how in the hell did? Because my thing was, if you see, so did
My
she?
godmother was an LPN. She didn't need money. And she was getting
Mm-hmm.
paid from the government for taking care of my daughter. My
Mm-hmm.
godmom didn't need
Right.
nothing.
Mm. So
My
did
my
she
godmother.
passing?
I do.
That's what
I
she says
do.
she do, Kelly.
Her story from Jump just doesn't make any sense. I think
Mm.
she played a very big part in it.
Wow. I just think it's just crazy
Mhm.
how she call the news and say you need to come over to this street right here, and because I didn't get that part right there, but I mean, like,
Like
damn, I
I
mean,
I
it's
think they planned after I don't know what went wrong, but whatever went
mm-hmm,
wrong after it went wrong, I think they set a plan on how they were going to try to get rid of my daughter. Because as I said prior, I didn't find out until after we went to that house. But people dig, and my grandma used to own that house. So,
wow, your grandma
and
used to own that house.
my grandma used to own the house that my daughter's body was found in, and that
Damn.
house was due to be torn down. That house was due to be condemned. And I think what they thought was going to happen was they were going to put her in that house. The house would be torn down, and no one would
Hmm.
be the wiser as to what exactly happened to my child.
Wow.
A lot of evidence could have been destroyed had they torn that house down with my baby in it.
Hmm.
And I think that was the plan.
And I don't think Dorothy probably thought that this was going to blow up like this. That the community
I
and
don't
and and, and
think
And another thing, what would y'all like to say to the community about telling them stay calm during this situation? Because I got to give it to Toledo up there. The people that I seen online, oh my gosh, they not playing about Kei'Mani. They was not playing about Kei'Mani, and especially with your mom too. I seen sister up there with her baby in her arm while your mom had that bear mace. I'm gonna say why Dorothy had it, and
yeah.
she was not playing out there, and
I
that.
listen, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Yes, that is my mother. Yes, that is the woman that gave me birth. But
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I have had that woman saved in my phone as the unholy portal for a very long time.
Say the unholy border. That's a new one. Okay.
Let me break that down for you guys really fast. Because
Okay.
originally she said she got off at 7, which would have been around the time that my daughter was supposed to leave for school. Then she said she didn't get off until 9. Then she said she didn't get off until she didn't get well, she said she didn't get off until 9, and I guess she didn't get home until 10 o'clock. These are the issues that I have with what she said about how she found the house. Number one, when I got there, the day that I got there, after we did our search party, my mother had been released from being interrogated, and
Okay.
I caught her walking into her house. So after she walked in, I walked in behind her, and I was like, "Mom," and she gave me an attitude. She's like, "What's up?" And I said, "Mom, I don't know what's going on. I don't understand what's going on. Mama, where is my baby?" And then she decided to hug me and was like, "Oh, baby, it's okay." Right?
Mm.
So I ended up
Wow.
asking my mother while we were in her house, I said, "Ma," I said, "when you came home from work, was the door open or was it unlocked?" She said, "No, it wasn't open. It was just unlocked." First thing, I'm going to tell y'all because I know how my mother is. I'm not going to say my daughter was raised, but my daughter was trained that whenever she leaves out the house, because she has her own set of keys, if she
Mm-hmm.
would have left on her own, she would have locked that door. Period.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way around that. If my daughter would have left that house on her own, she would have locked that door. That would have been my first reason to call the fucking police. Number
Mm.
two, number two, she said that my daughter's panties were in the dining room and her pants were in the living room. My daughter's my daughter, she is a teenager. She has been dealing with some insecurities. My daughter does not get dressed anywhere except for in the bathroom or in her bedroom. And if someone is in the room with her, regardless of who it is, she will not get changed. So the fact that you saw my daughter's clothes anywhere outside of the bathroom or the bedroom is yet another problem. Yet another reason I would have called the police. But then she said that the rug in front of the couch where my daughter's keys and glasses were left was
Mm-hmm.
kicked up. My daughter cannot see without her glasses. She's not going to leave that house without her glasses.
Wow.
If the rug is kicked up, that is a clear sign of a struggle. I'm calling the police. And the very last thing, my mom smokes like a fucking chimney. She claimed that when she walked into the house, the gas pilots were on the stove. The last call that my daughter placed was at 1:45 in the morning, and that was to her dad. And according to him, he never received it. So if
Mm-hmm.
my daughter went missing at approximately 1:45 and you didn't get home until about 10 o'clock, that's about a good 8 hours that that gas stove would have been on. 9 times out
Ooh.
of 10, knowing my mother, she would have walked into that house smoking. Baby, you
Ooh,
would have
okay.
blew the fuck up.
Would have blew the house up.
You
Okay,
would have blew the
wow.
fuck up. Not only
Mm.
that, but seeing as the door was closed and simply unlocked, when she opened that door, all the gas that's been released, it would have knocked her out.
Yeah. Hmm.
I don't believe her. I'm sorry, I don't fucking believe her.
Mm-hmm. I don't. I know I don't. I know I don't. So what type of so how long was not to change the subject, but how long was Darnell taking his ass over there to Dorothy house?
I
Like
couldn't tell you. I could
uh,
not tell you if. If it was not, and I'm going to say this, and I need people to understand again, me and my mom did not have a good relationship.
Okay.
If you ask any of my cousins, they will tell you they've always felt like my mother was jealous of me. I just thought, like, okay, maybe I'm not the daughter that I think I am, you know. But when it came to me and my mom, if it was not about my child, I did not communicate with her. I didn't have a reason to talk to her. We're not friends. We're not cool.
Mm-hmm.
When last time I spoke to Dorothy
Mm-hmm.
was the day that we found my daughter.
Okay.
And that consisted of me screaming in her face and telling her that I am going to watch her rot and that she had one job, which was to protect and provide for my daughter, and she fucking failed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow. Let me another thing I'm gonna say before I go to the chat and answer questions. Who
Okay.
let the police know that Kei'Mani was in his house? Like
My
how?
mother,
Like your mom.
my
So
mother,
I mean,
my mother did.
okay. Do you think that's strange? I mean, because I think it's strange. How would she know that? Like, did
You
somebody?
wouldn't.
Well,
So unless you were involved in the crime,
mm,
you wouldn't know that my baby's body was there unless you were either involved in the crime, someone that was involved confided in you, or you were in the house yourself.
wow.
Um, those are the only ways that you would know if there was a body in that house. Um, but I believe that my daughter even being found in the house was a setup in and of itself. Why?
Mm,
Because my grandmother, whose name at the time that she owned that house was Ruby Slaughter, is a previous owner. And the fact that the home was being condemned, my mother, being her next of kin, would have been notified.
wow. Wow. I think she needs to be investigated. Okay, we have a question. Um, we got now the people at the end of the day. I know y'all want to know like where was she and why was Tiara not in well, let me see. Let me rephrase this. Let me rephrase it. People, we got one person want to know was like, why was she not in your custody?
She,
Now,
I mean, I can go into it really quick, but
okay.
she was taken away from me at birth. I was originally living in Cleveland.
Mhm.
And, you know, I called my mom because I'm like, hey, uh, you told me once that I was supposed to have been aborted, but you chose to give me life anyways. And I told her, like, you know, I want to come up there and I want to allow you to see your granddaughter be born as a gift to you, you know. Um, and she brought me up there. Uh, and it wasn't just her. My adoptive mom not wanting me or my child in the presence of my biological mother called children's services, and because she didn't know my mother, threw me under the bus. But my mother did not aid in that at all. She ran along with it and threw even more allegations on me, and they took my daughter from the hospital from me. They told me that if I came back up to the hospital, my daughter would not be there. And that if I showed up there, they would charge me with criminal trespassing. And so I didn't go back. And then we had what's called a staff meeting a couple days later at Lucas County Children's Services. And they told me that they were charging me with neglect because I didn't return to the hospital to feed my child.
Wow. So
They tricked me.
but oh, okay. And so I'm getting like, dang. So basically, Dorothy is so basically she was holding because I'm trying to think like, well, damn, okay. After that, okay. Did y'all get that right there? That way we did y'all in the chat get what Tiara said before I go to the next thing? Because at the end of the day, Tiara and Dorothy had it wasn't a good relationship from what I'm hearing from the private conversations that I had with Tiara. And did y'all get it? Okay, Melissa says she got it because I know that was one question. Thanks, Melissa and Maurice. Um, real quick, Jazz, do you want to come in on something real quick before I go further? Is it something you might want to you know?
Yeah. So to piggyback off what you said, I know a lot of
Okay.
people that have been tuning into this are from different states. In Ohio, as sad as it is, in Ohio, all it takes is one allegation for children's services to step in. The sad part about that is they go after the parents that are active in their kids' lives, the parents that are willing to take care of their children. And
Mm-hmm.
they also leave the children who are being abused. They overlook those cases. They take it's backwards in Ohio, and it's very sad to have this going on. Um, for people to say, "Oh, it's not that easy," it is, and it happens more often than people realize.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. And I got Ruth Abel say grandmother is just pure evil. That's what I get out of it, out of this case when I look at and think about the Dorothy lady.
To go the legal route when it comes to my child. I've always
Mm-hmm.
wanted my child. When they took my child from me, because it was about a week before they had that initial staff meeting, um, I cried every single day, all day. I could not watch a diaper commercial. I could not watch an Infamil formula commercial. I could not go outside
Wow.
without me bawling my eyes out because
Mm-hmm.
someone at some point throughout every day was like, "Where's your baby at? I thought you were pregnant." And how do I tell
Wow.
these people they took my baby from me?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as far as the amount of time that I got to see my child, um, it was honestly very rare. I probably only saw my child, physically saw her for about a month out of each year. I would take trips because obviously I have a life here in Cleveland that I've built. And I built this life so that I could secure a life for me and my children. And that consists of me working, that consists of me going to school, that consists of my own personal relationships, that consists of me networking and different stuff like that to try to build the situation that my kids would need for them to be stable here. Um, so I probably saw her for about a month out of each year. I would take time off or off of school and off of work and different stuff, and I would go down there, physically go down there, and I would have
Mm-hmm.
to I would have to, also network with my family members in order to secure a place to stay while I was down there because I never felt comfortable staying in my mother's home. And that was simply because me and my mother, we've never had a great relationship. I can't speak on the relationship that she
Okay.
would have or could have had with Kei'Mani, but I know me and my mother, we never got along. My family members have always said that they felt like my mother was jealous of me. So I didn't stay in her household simply because of that. I didn't want to cause chaos in the home where my daughter was living. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, whenever Kei'Mani would do something that my mother didn't like, or if my mother asked me to do something and I didn't do
Mm-hmm.
it, she would cut off contact for us. She would block contact, whether it was taking the
Mm.
phone that I bought from for Kei'Mani from her, or blocking me from her phone and Kei'Mani's phone, telling people to keep a close eye so that Kei'Mani's not sneaking in talking to me, different things like that. The only time I ever was really able to see my child, because there are times when I went down there with
Mm-hmm.
plans to see my child, and she made sure that didn't happen. Um, the only time that she actually let me see my kid is when I came with like a full card full of money to put stuff in the house and buy her things or buy Kei'Mani things and fill up the house with food, all that type of stuff, even though I'm not staying
Mm,
there.
mm, mm. Wow. Okay. Is it true that you had to pay child support to Dorothy also?
So my mother
'Cause-
officially got custody. My mother officially got custody the end of August 2024, and I started paying child support from there. Um, when it came time, because I know this was another question, people were asking, like, what took mom so long to show up? Um, I had just, I had just paid my mom $900 in child support. Um, and I had some catching up to do. I'm still, as of now, there's 26 and some change that hasn't been posted because I ran out of money. But I had just bought like $500 worth of clothes and shoes, Stanley Cups, jewelry, different stuff like that for my daughter. Um,
Mhm,
and then I had spent $900 to put towards her child support. And then I gave my daughter $100, Kei'Mani. I gave her $100 for her birthday. And her dad was the one that drove her down here to me on the 15th. And he was
mhm,
complaining about he hadn't ate all day and his tank was low. So I gave him $60. Here's 20 to go eat for
mm,
you and Imani, and then here's 40 for your tank so you can get back home. So
mm,
I was flat broke when I found out what was going on with Kimani being missing. Not only that, but I had also just spent a gang of money too because my youngest daughter's birthday was St. Patty's Day the day before she supposedly went missing. So all of my money was spent. I was rubbing pennies together trying to come up with a way to get up there.
hmm. Okay. I'm a let me ask you something. How what was your conversations like with Kamani? Like the last time you seen her and like any other time, what would she would say? Like, mommy, like what can you give us just a
I
brief
mean,
summary? Like what
honestly, and honestly, most of the time that I talked to Kimani, it was just her
mm-hmm,
telling me about like what was going on in her life. Like, oh, I joined the basketball team. I'm getting really good at it. Oh, she came out to me, and told me that she thought she was gay. I had a conversation with her about that. Um,
mm-hmm,
she told me about like the video games that she's been playing, the new friends that she has,
mm-hmm,
things that she's done with her, like different activities that she did with her dad or or my mom or whatever. Um, and that's why I'm kind of like I'm still very much confused to this day as to why she didn't discuss with me what was going on inside that home or wherever the trauma was going on because
mm-hmm,
I've always been a person. I keep open lines of communication with my kids. I
mm-hmm,
spent most of my life trying to be better than those that birthed me and those that raised me. Um,
mm-hmm,
I remember the things that I went through, and I never wanted my kids to go through that. I feel like I paid the price so that they wouldn't
mm-hmm,
have to, right? So
mm-hmm,
when it comes to raising my kids, I keep open lines of communication. I'm not the parent that when my kid is talking to me and they ask a question that might not be appropriate for them, I'm not the parent that's like, "Hey, stay in a child's place." I'm not the
mm-hmm.
parent that's going to tell you respect your elders if they're not respecting you. I talk to
Can
my
I
kids about
interject?
everything. I always give my kids the utmost support, the utmost love.
Mm-hmm.
If my daughter would have came to me and been like, "Hey, this is happening and I don't feel safe," I would have sat down with her and we would have come up with a plan. We
Okay.
would have gotten her out of there.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And one thing I will say is I see where
Okay, so that was a lot of information. Now, keep in mind that the police chief conducted an interview with the news reporter. The interview that he conducted with the news reporter, the video was put up on March the 27th. In that interview, the news reporter posed a question about what led the police to the house where Kei'Mani's body was discovered. If you haven't seen that, check it out. That video is on my page. He said that he was not going to get into that because he doesn't want, the speculations online to impact the integrity of the investigation or, to impact how they're doing it, because he said some of those things are going to be critical to the investigation itself, to what they're still investigating and what they're finalizing. So at this time, when the reporter posed the question, he actually said, which tip? What are you talking about? So he didn't want to address that. But according to Kei'Mani's mother, she's stating that Dorothy led police to that home, and others have said that online. There is, in my last video, there was a comment that was posted on a discussion board where they said their mother actually had Darnell on her camera carrying Kei'Mani's body in the house. And that's very unfortunate that Darnell, whether he is the biological father or not, I hear a lot of comments about this saying, well, what does it matter if he's the biological father or not? Honestly, it doesn't matter. But the reason why this is coming up, like I've addressed in other videos, is because Kei'Mani's biological grandmother has said that she was told that the biological mother told her that Darnell wasn't the father. So others have said, well, if the biological mother told you that he wasn't the father, why would you have Kei'Mani around him? And then she said, well, honestly, she was given conflicting stories. At one point, she was told Darnell was the father, and then at another point, she was told that he wasn't. But she went on the news and said that Darnell was more involved and active in Kei'Mani's life than the biological mom. And if you haven't heard that, again, that's on my channel. But what are you guys' thoughts about this? Now, the godmother has not really publicly spoken out from what I see, but the Kei'Mani's biological mother, Tiara, does say, she allegedly was having some mental breakdown, and she says coincidentally it's around the time that her grandchild was going to be born. Personally, I feel that if Kei'Mani's grandmother elected to give her back to the family or said that she couldn't care for her, let's say if she was having a mental breakdown, a lot of the times we criticize others for not recognizing that they can't take care of a child. Like, there's a video of Darnell Jones that is circulating. That video's on my page where he appears to be in some type of mental distress, and he's from what others have said, somewhat pleading for help, but he doesn't seek help, and he still continues to go around Kei'Mani. So keep that thought in mind. Now, allegedly, Kei'Mani's godmother, who raised her from the time she was months old up until the time that she, was 7 or 8, however old, she goes back to her grandmother's custody, but she recognizes that she can no longer care for Kei'Mani for whatever reason, and she wants to give her to someone else. Now people are criticizing her. What are your thoughts about this? Because if she hadn't recognized that she couldn't care for Kei'Mani, people would be saying, well, why didn't you give her back? And then because she did recognize it, people are saying, well, why would you give her to Dorothy? Of course, we don't know why. And if this is true, this is Kei'Mani's biological mom, Tiara, saying this. Have you guys heard, any talks online about why the godmother given her back? Do you believe this from Tiara? Now, of course, Tiara and her sister have both said they were in state custody, that they were taken from Dorothy Latigue's home. So many has questioned, with Dorothy Latigue's background, her criminal history, why was she able to get custody of Kei'Mani? Many have questioned that online. she was able to gain custody. And if you're not familiar with it, Child Protective Service did say there were 3 reports that were filed against Dorothy Latigue while Kei'Mani was in her care. In 2023, there was a report and 2 reports in 2024. We went out, we spoke with Dorothy Latigue, and we privately spoke with Kei'Mani. And as a result of those reports, we provided training on how to properly discipline a child that has complex discipline issues. That is what CPS said in a previous report. Now, many have criticized them to say, well, why would you even, educate her as opposed to just removing Kei'Mani from the home? And in my last video, there is a report, an update that Child Protective Services, or Child Bureau Services, is going to be doing an overhaul investigation into, their program. Now I'm going to finish off this interview with some other information that is discussed, but please drop your comments below. What are your thoughts about this case so far? What are your thoughts about some of the things that she touched on with the godmother, with Dorothy, her alleged involvement, her beliefs? What are you guys thinking about this?
Things that she's done with her, like different activities that she did with her dad or my mom or whatever. And that's why I'm kind of like, I'm still very much confused. All right, baby, go play, okay? Be safe. No, don't run. I don't want you to fall. Relationship. There's no other reason you should be calling me besides where our daughter is concerned. So I don't know what they had going on behind the scenes. I have
Wow. That's weird. Detectives ain't reaching out. Do you think Dorothy you think she might be a reason? Because Dorothy's a little slickster or some shit, man. But
I mean, I do believe that I was gonna say I do believe that she has friends in high places. Even if she's not in a high place herself, I do believe that she could very likely have friends in high places. I'm not sure, but the happenings and the inner workings of this case isn't making sense.
Okay, another question. Why do you think Dorothy and this guy, do you think her and the dad, well, I ain't gonna call him the dad, but Darnell would do something like this to Kei'Mani? Do you have a thought in your mind, like why they would even do something this damn evil to her?
I have not even the slightest clue. My kid was a sweet kid. She's got a good spirit. She's a joyful person. I know even because there's other things that have happened in her life. Hold on, baby. Yes.
What time is it?
What time is it?
Yeah.
It's 7:40. Do you have somewhere to be?
I don't see at all.
Oh, well, maybe you should take the drawstring bag off your head, Mama. Come on. You can see now?
Yeah.
All right. All right, baby, go play, okay? Be safe.
And don't run away.
No, don't run. I don't want you to fall.
You don't want me to fall.
No, I don't want you to hurt. I don't want you to fall and get hurt.
You know, hurt and get a boo-boo.
Yeah.
And they call you a pilot officer.
I will. Will's up there. Do you want to go play with Will?
Yeah, let's see.
Okay. I love you. I'll talk to you in a little bit. All right.
All right, Jackie Phillips say, so what's going on with the frontal arrangements?
As of right now, I'm just gonna say as of right now, neither me nor my mother have control of my daughter's estate until we make it into probate court. Nothing is happening as of now.
Okay, let me see. Beverly Love says Black Dorothy may think she's slick, but she could use a good greasing behind bars. I know that's right. What do you think about these alleged text messages? What do y'all think about these alleged text messages. Then I'm gonna come to you in a few minutes, Jazz. Okay.
Okay,
But
sure.
what do you think about that? Or either you as a okay, yeah. What do you think about these text messages, Tiara?
Um, I don't know too much about the text messages.
Mm-hmm.
I know that from what I saw, she was texting herself. Had she been texting someone else, the responses would have been on opposite sides. I know they were saying that there was a second phone or something where the responses were on either side. But if that was the case, you could have just screenshotted or screen recorded that and sent it versus sending everything individually. My mom's not stupid. She knows how
Mm-hmm.
to do those things. I think it was a matter of her texting herself, trying to come up with a different narrative and a different storyline as to
Wow.
where Kei'Mani disappeared to.
Wow. She said she got off work. The gas was on. Mom is one of those old school ladies right there too, man. I can tell. And do you think she believe in revenge? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you try something she tried and try to double up on you and you
My
know what I'm
mother
saying, getting you
doesn't
back.
need my mother doesn't need a reason to get revenge on people. This is the
Mm-hmm.
same woman that I've literally been told stories about like that my godmother and my mom sat up and laughed about it. A time where my mother went to the bar. She seen it was some girl's birthday. The girl had her money on her shirt, and my mother snatched the girl's money off her shirt and then went in the parking lot and waited for her to come out so she could fight her. My mother
Wow.
don't need a reason.
Hmm.
My mother like that.
Hmm.
My mother like
Do you think she was really gonna have Kamani a 14th birthday party? That's what
um
Tiffany asked. Good question, Tiffany. Thank you. And thank you for being respectful.
I think that might have been the initial plan. um
Mm-hmm.
I do think that was the initial plan, because my mom had started calling me back in February, trying to get things together for her birthday.
Oh, okay.
Um, so I do believe that there was gonna be a party for her 14th birthday. She was telling me how my daughter wanted to go roller skating because she wanted to be with her friends.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted a party at the house for the family, so she could hang out with her cousins and everything. And my mom was get because my mom wanted to get a custom cake or whatever, so she said, and she was asking me about funds for that and different stuff. My mom has always been a big party person. I have videos. I don't know if anybody is on TikTok, but you guys can go on my TikTok and see um her 11th birthday. Uh, but she's always been a big party person. The I know on her 11th birthday when I went down there, everybody in the house was literally shoulder to shoulder, and we were still letting people in because we were turning up for my child. Um,
Okay.
but I do believe she had plans on a birthday party. I just think some things went horribly wrong before they got to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. One question from Jessica Kenny say, are y'all going to try to fight CPS, press charges on them? I think that's what she
Oh,
said.
CPS has a
CSB.
lawsuit. Yeah, I already have a lawsuit filed against them.
Okay. Okay. Let me see. Do you think she had the presents in the closet like she said she did for the
Um,
birthday
I
party?
don't see
So
Thanks,
answer that
Jackie.
question, but I
my
feel like
mother
Tori
showed
would have to
me
answer it.
the presents that she had in there. So I know she
Okay.
was at least trying to do something for her. Like
Okay.
I said, I just think things went horribly wrong. She had her entire closet was filled with nothing but gifts for Kimani. She had like some clothes thrown in front of it and over top of the stuff, but her entire closet was packed full with stuff for
Mm-hmm.
Kimani and stuff for an Easter party. I guess Kimani wanted to throw.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Thank y'all for being respectful. Kelly, she said, was your other sister in foster care too? Or, was
All
it?
of us were. All of us were.
Okay.
So there's 5 of us. The youngest
Mm-hmm.
one, he's about, I believe, a good. Well, when I came home, I was 19. I believe he was 10. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and all the rest of us were stair step kids. So literally one after another, except for me and Sanika, we're 2 years apart, obviously.
Wow. Okay.
But the younger ones, the 3 that came directly after me, they were taken immediately, and she waited some years before she had my youngest brother. From what my grandma had told me a couple years ago, he was supposed to have been taken too, but she
Mm-hmm.
sent him to Arizona with my grandmother.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that question.
I don't know what happened.
And I think I
I'm still,
interpreted that too.
again, guys, this is still an active investigation. I'm still trying to figure it all out. I don't even know. I'm trying to give y'all answers to the questions of my life and Kei'Mani's life. As I can give y'all questions about our lives, I cannot give y'all any answers about what happened in her final moments or what happened afterwards. I don't know.
And Wanda say, did you ever see your child with any bruises? Do you remember seeing any bruises and cuts? Didn't know what it was
Never.
or anything?
Never. And I
Okay.
think that was for a reason, because they
Oh,
knew I would have flipped. They knew I would have flipped a wig if I saw my baby hurt.
okay. Let me see. Natalie
I don't even.
says,
I have my youngest daughter with me now, and
mm-hmm,
there's other kids that my foster sister's kids and stuff that I'm around. I don't whoop them. I make them stand in the corner. I make them hold up books. I physically train them. That's what I do. I don't whoop my kids.
mm-hmm. Okay. Let me see what else we got. Natalie says, why wouldn't your godmother call the Kei'Mani's mother and let her know she was having problem and couldn't do it
I'm
anymore
sorry.
and
Can
take Kei'Mani?
whoever
I
asked
can't.
that, can you rephrase? Because
I'm
I don't.
trying to read. I think she missed. Let me see. Why wouldn't your godmother call the Kei'Mani mother and let
Why wouldn't my
her?
I think she
godmother
She
was.
was.
call me and tell me
Mm.
she was having problems? Is that what you're trying to say?
I think so, but she's missing some words out of there, and
Uh, okay.
yeah. So I can't really read that one, Natalie. So if you probably can rephrase it, I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what she was. I don't want to jump to
Oh,
conclusions on that.
okay. How many kids did evil ass Darnell had? That's what Tiffany.
He had 3. He has
Okay.
all girls. Kei'Mani is the oldest, and then there's a young girl. I believe she's about 5 or 6 now. Her name is Arabella, and then his youngest daughter, who's about a year now, her name's Delilah.
Okay. All right.
Your first fucking grandchild coming to this world. No, that's crazy as fuck. You did that to your own granddaughter. Own grandbaby. Nigga, you told me I was supposed to be aborted and that you gave me life anyway, so I wanted to do something for you. I let you see your first fucking grandchild coming to this world, nigga. And this is what the fuck you do to her? Nigga,